Okay. We do not have Rand Carthon coming. Well, we do, but we don't. Okay. I'm Maurice Patton. This is Chris Yao, and I have hijacked the opening to today's Main Street Sports Today presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint, because when I saw that title card with Rand Carthon, I'm like, wait a minute, we don't have Rand, huh? But we do.
Yeah.
Because
we'll have some highlights.
There we go.
Highlights of yesterday's press conference. But yeah, I was like, well, I mean, it's kind of it's the biggest thing that we have to talk about today again.
Without question.
And if the press conference had happened at 2:00 yesterday, we would have gotten through with it.
Yeah.
But we didn't. It was at 4. We weren't on the air. 4:00. So
we were not on the air.
Guess what? More Titans talk today. And
I will tell you that there's going to be Titans talk for a pretty good while in some way, shape, or form.
It's funny that we were so worried about how we were going to talk about the Titans post the season ending on Sunday. And
now we're worried about how we're not going to talk about the Titans.
Ladies and gentlemen, Terry McCormick will continue to be on this show for the foreseeable future at 3:00 every day.
Every day. Yeah. So Zen Sports, yay. Well, you're going to get your money's worth.
No doubt. But it's not just going to be Terry. We're talking about all kinds of stuff with the Titans on our own. So plenty of Titans talk today, of course. And again, we're excited to bring you Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. In addition to the Titans, we're going to talk about all three pro sports in Tennessee, because the Grizzlies, jawless and all, with a big win last night.
We don't need no jaw.
I have a question, and I'm curious to get your thought on it. And then, of course, the Preds last night just get embarrassed by the Ducks, and there may be a UC SAROS problem. And I would love to talk to someone who knows a little bit more about it, and we will get someone on in the near future who does know a little bit more about it.
Yeah, we efforted and kind of ran into.
We struck out literally 0 for 4.
Yeah,
we were 0 for 4 on Preds guests.
The golden sombrero. Huh?
Yeah, it was the golden sombrero, because that's what you get.
Yeah, pass the hat trick.
Yeah.
Did anybody have a hat trick last night?
Probably. I mean, crap, they scored 5 goals, so who knows? There's a good chance. But tough night for the Preds. We'll talk a little bit about that, and we'll also talk with Joe Sullivan, who joins us to talk about Nashville hoops. A lot of games over the weekend since we've last spoken with Joe. Big wins for some teams, and also some big games, of course, coming up tonight and throughout the week. So All of that, and of course, the weirdest and wildest news from Alabama.
Oh,
There's like 3 of those.
is it
Yeah.
the Panhandle? Is it?
No.
Oh,
No.
oh, so it's not like close to Florida.
No.
Oh.
This is
Straight Alabama, huh?
Central Alabama, straight middle of the road. Like,
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well,
Randy Newman wrote a song about it.
I'm intrigued.
It's going to be nuts. So,
okay.
Going to be a lot of fun. Make sure to stick with us throughout the show. Right now, though, we're going to get you, of course, yesterday's results, today's schedule on the rundown.
This is the rundown.
High school girls basketball action from Tuesday night. Allen County of Kentucky with a 49-47 win over Westmoreland. Columbia Academy went on the road, picked up a 59-51 win at Battleground Academy. Brentwood Academy 44, Christ Presbyterian Academy 37, Creekwood 68, Camden Central 51, Cane Ridge doubled up Overton 48-24, Cascade with a 58-52 win over Eagleville. Brentwood doubled up Centennial 70-35. It was Cheatham County 59, White House 37, Clarksville with a 54-37 win over Springfield, Clarksville Northeast 41, Kirkwood 38, Cookville 63, Smyrna 22, Culleoka 55, Hampshire 15. Clarksville Northwest with a 68-42 win over Dixon County. Murfreesboro Central defeated Franklin County 47-35. It was Davidson Academy 35, Friendship Christian 31. Lawrence County with a 57-45 win over Giles County. Good Pasture 55, Ezel Harding 46, Macon County 51, Greenbrier 47, Green Hill 41, Hendersonville 21, Apatow 67, Pennsylvania 8, Hillsboro 61, Hunters Lane 10. Bill Burns with an 80-13 win over Knowledge Academies. Wilson Central defeated Laverne 51-27. Lebanon down Stewart's Creek 52-42. Sycamore with a 37-25 win over Liberty Creek. Columbia Central's girls fall for the first time in a while, dropping a 59-55 decision at Lincoln County. It was Lipscomb Academy 58, Ensworth 47, and Loretto with a 54-50 win over Moore County.
The girls play McGavick down to Antioch 56-32. Gallatin falls to Mount Juliet 54-49. Community down to Mount Pleasant 64-31. It was Nashville Christian 44-28 winners over Donaldson Christian. While Nowheresville down Franklin 63-55. Page a 59-44 winner over Independence, and Deep down Pearl 51-40. Father Ryan 42-30 winners over Pope Prep. Oakland down to Rockville 61-51. Santa Fe falls to Cornersville 63 and Flip it 36. Siegel 37-25 winners over Riverdale. Smith County downs Watertown 57-46. Station Camp bests Portland 55-46. Stewart County 53, Montgomery Central 13. Ravenwood falls to Summit 41-27. And Spring Hill was a 54-51 winner over Warren County, while Wayne County in a big win over Summertown 47-36. On the boys' side, Westmoreland down Allen County, Kentucky 42-36. Columbia Academy falls to Battleground Academy 58-51. It was Brentwood Academy 58-27 over Cross Presbyterian. Creekwood 57-48 winners over Camden Central. Cane Ridge falls to Overton in a thriller 68-66. Eagleville downs Cascade 67-44. Centennial downs Brentwood 59-43. Cheatham County falls to White House 64-59. Springfield over Clarksville 70-59. It was Kirkwood 85-45 winners over Northeast. Cookville 70-31 against Smyrna. Culleoka downs Hampshire 58-43, while Northwest was an 88-83.
That was 52-43.
Is that not what I said? I'm sorry.
No.
Culleoka 52, Hampshire 43. Clarksville Northwest 88-83 winners. Wow. Sounds like a good game there down to Dixon County. Murfreesboro Central 55-39 winners against Franklin County. Friendship Christian 69. Davidson Academy 55. Giles County losing big to Lawrence County 73.
To visiting Lawrence County.
73-44 the final there. Glencliff 61-44 winners over Maplewood. Good Pasture downs Ezel Harding 75-70. Greenbrier 54-43 winners over Macon County, and Green Hill 48. Hendersonville 38.
In a game that will delight shot clock supporters. Hunters Lane 30, Hillsboro 23. Also, Laverne with a 73-52 win over Wilson Central. Stewart's Creek defeated Lebanon 69-66. It was Liberty Creek 53, Sycamore 29. Columbia Central goes on the road. Defeathers the Falcons of Lincoln County 50-43. It was Lipscomb Academy 56, Answorth 52. Loretto with a 59-46 win over Moore County. Antioch defeated McGavock 67-22. Gallatin down Mount Juliet 55-40. It was Clarksville Academy 76, Mount Juliet Christian 50. Mount Pleasant with a 63-55 win at home against Community. Nashville Christian 44, Donaldson Christian 28. It was Franklin 46, Nolansville 42. Independence with a 66-48 win over Page. Beach defeated Pearl Cone 72-39. Pope Prep 67.
Rolling.
They are. Father Ryan 45. Providence Christian with a 58-39 win over University School of Nashville. It was Oakland 72, Oakland 82, Rockville 72. Santa Fe with a 70-44 win over Cornersville. Siegel defeated Riverdale 66-28. Smith County with a 65-30 win over Watertown. It was Station Camp 52, Portland 46. Montgomery Central 47, Stewart County 42. Summit got a game-tying layup from Derek Smith and a game-winning three-pointer from Derek Smith in a 62-61 overtime victory against Ravenwood.
It's interesting. We can talk about that after the rundown.
Warren County 60, Spring Hill 48, Wayne County 74, Summertown 60. Webb School with a 55-53 win over Franklin Road Academy, and White House Heritage 48, Harper 39.
Men's college basketball last night. Vanderbilt goes down to the Bayou and falls 77-69 to LSU. Fisk at home with a 67-63 win over Oakwood, and the UT Southern men continue their hot starts of the season, 90-71 winners over William Carey. On the women's side, Fisk complete the sweep of Oakwood 68-49.
Guess that trip to the Virgin Islands was good for the Bulldogs and Lady Bulldogs.
A nice little reset, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And the William Carey women defeated UT Southern 90-59. On the ice, Anaheim, the Ducks 5, Predators 3, and in NBA action, the Grizzlies 120-103 winners over Dallas.
High school basketball tonight. Republic is at Montgomery Central. That's a 6 o'clock doubleheader. The girls will play at 6. The boys to follow. Men's basketball action tonight
is not true.
No.
You knew that.
I knew that. Men's basketball tonight in the Southeastern Conference. Tennessee travels to Stark Vegas, taking on the Bulldogs of Mississippi State. That's a 6 o'clock Central tip. It can be seen on the SEC Network at 6:30 on the SEC Network, and I'm sure we'll be talking about this one later in the show. Illinois State, the Redbirds come to the Curb Event Center, taking on the Bruins of Belmont. And in women's basketball action, and this one's also on ESPN Plus, also a 6 o'clock tip. Middle Tennessee State opens Conference USA action with a little trip to Ruston, taking on the Lady Texters of Louisiana Tech. And that is your rundown.
Well, before we get into our top story, and we will get into it here in just a moment, but Summit Ravenwood goes to overtime. Ravenwood wins the tip and stands there, much to the dismay of many on social media. Didn't work out for them. And that's the risk you run. Summit was content to let them stand there until they didn't need to anymore. And worked out for the Spartans. So, anyway.
You know, one, if you don't want them to stand there, go out and press.
Clearly, Summit didn't care.
No, I mean, it's a tie game. As long as you're holding the ball, it's a tie game.
You can't beat me.
You know, if you want to go to 4 overtimes like this, we can do that. I ain't got nowhere to go.
Exactly. Yeah, I've told you.
I don't have anything else planned for tonight but this ball game. As long as you want to hold the ball out there with the game tied.
That happened to me at Jacksonville State. It was Parker and Butler, number 1 and number 2 in the region semifinals or region finals, won goes into overtime. Butler holds the ball for 3 minutes and 50 seconds, goes up for a layup, misses it. We have to go to a second overtime, and they played they played the second overtime.
Well, they decided, hey, that
didn't work out so
so well. Maybe we should just go ahead and play.
But that's the risk you run, right? Is okay, well, it is what it is. But I just thought that was interesting that, one, that Ravenwood, the undefeated to that point,
No,
they
lost one last week as well.
Okay. So,
but which kind of tells you that district is going to be crazy.
Yeah. Indy, Franklin, Nolensville, Ravenwood, Belmont,
Centennial,
Brentwood, Centennial,
Yep.
and now Summit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, apparently.
Justin Lamb told us, he said, this coach has won everywhere he's went. What makes you think this is going to be any different?
So there you go.
And Thad Burgess has
kind of announced his presence with authority.
Kind of.
Yeah.
So anyway, just thought that was interesting. Let's get into our top story, which is brought to you, of course, by our friends at Piggly Wiggly, Neely's Mill Shopping Center in Columbia. Make sure to go by and see them if you want your daily deli lunch specials or fresh hand-cut meats. And, of course, great produce, all cost plus 10 at the register, Piggly Wiggly and Neely's Mill Shopping Center in Columbia. Today's top story comes from Darren Rovell, which is in and of itself weird. But an interesting thought process, an interesting idea, perhaps. As, Brock Purdy has kind of made Mr. Irrelevant really relevant these days. And so, piggybacking off that, the idea of the Irrelevant Bowl, where the two worst teams in FBS face off in a bowl game, which would have this season included 2-10 Vanderbilt and 1-11 Akron. Now, this is never going to happen. Just for the record, it's not going to happen. But I'd watch it just because it's a train wreck. How do you prepare for that game as a broadcaster? This would be one of those games where you'd have to have the Dennis Miller booth from Monday Night Football, where you'd have to have entertainers in the booth and not just football commentators. Like, we're gonna need some comedians in here. We're gonna need to make this fun to watch.
Proposed by Newport Beach, California-based promoter Roy Engelbrecht. The bowl game would feature a pair of college football teams that are either winless or close to it. Cities would put in bids within the first quarter of the year to host the Irrelevant Bowl, according to the release. The city selected as a host site would retain all event revenue, including ticket sales, concessions, and parking fees. No polls, no rankings, no controversy, just two winless or near winless teams looking for redemption and one elusive win, Engelbrecht said in a press release. Knowing that the NCAA has become more flexible with the number of teams wins to qualify for a bowl, I will petition the NCAA asking them to grant a waiver in 2024 so that two teams would be eligible to play in the inaugural Irrelevant Bowl.
No polls, no rankings, no controversy, no chance, says Brett McMurphy.
No chance.
Yeah.
In fact, this headline on the CBSSports.com article that I'm reading from says, NCAA says no chance. Proposed Irrelevant Bowl between college football's two worst teams receives waiver.
Well, that's an interesting headline, considering that quote comes from an alleged source of Brett McMurphy's. This is not even an alleged source of CBS. This is somebody else's source. You don't know that the NCAA said that. Brett McMurphy said that the NCAA said that.
But I feel quite confident that the NCAA did, in fact, say that or say words to that effect.
I'm surprised they haven't said it publicly to everybody, but not just Brett McMurphy.
Well, maybe we should go to NCAA.com. I don't know. But no, this game will never happen. Okay,
but why shouldn't it happen? That's the real question here. That's all I'm saying. I mean, okay, you can do this if you make it a week 0 kickoff game. Now, the problem is that most teams have their schedules,
Right.
Already. But and this brings me to another point that I've been wanting to talk about anyway. So we might as well get into it.
And another thing.
Okay, so we know that bowls are irrelevant. That wasn't necessarily supposed to, but they are, for the most part, irrelevant. The thing that is most important are the practices, right?
And who needs them more, huh?
So, well, but think about this. Instead of playing bowl games in December, what is the drawback to playing them in August instead? So you give the teams their 15 practices in December as a reward for their bowl, and then you play the bowls before the season. They count against your record, so no opt-outs, but it's the first game of the year, so there's no reason to opt out. And now those bowls mean something again. We're already playing neutral site games everywhere anyway. Why is it not just this? Why do we not just move those games from December to August?
I mean, it's certainly a paradigm shift. I mean, at that point, and
then more northern teams, by the way, more northern venues could have bowl games.
Those games, though, are part of your following year's schedule, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're already concerned with the length of schedule.
It's no different.
You're just playing it on the front end instead of on the back end?
Yeah, there's no difference.
It's as much as anything, it requires a different way of thinking, and that's why I want it.
But it really does make a lot of sense. The only thing that I hate about it is one of my favorite parts of the holidays when I'm kind of relaxed and able to sit there and watch football for 10, 12 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
I can do that. All of these games would have to be played on a Saturday or a Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday or Monday, I guess.
Right.
They'd be played over a 4 or 5 day period, which I guess is fine, but it's not a 2 or 3 week period where every single game gets its own television.
Mm-hmm.
That's the big issue for me, is that I want to be able to watch all of them, and I couldn't if that were the case. But in the grand scheme of how to fix the bowls, that would be at the top of the list for me. That would fix the bowls. It fixes everything because you still get your practices postseason with your new kids. So you've got a winter, but you also don't have to prepare for a game while you're dealing with the transfer portal being open. You don't have to deal with prepared while you need to be recruiting for the early signing period. It really solves all the problems of the December period. And and now that we've got the 12-team playoff, we're still going to have games every week. It's not like we're not going to have games. And are you going to watch Middle and Ohio play in the Bahamas Bowl, or are you going to watch the first round of the playoffs if it's on at the same time? I mean, you're going to watch Middle and Ohio.
Exactly. But yeah, Joe Lunchbox Head, as I like to refer to him. Yeah.
It fixes all the problems.
I guarantee you there are some unintended consequences to that as always never get thought all the way through.
Okay, but is it more likely that those unintended consequences outweigh the issues that we currently have with bowl season?
Good question.
And I'm telling you, coaches would be all over it.
You really think?
I think coaches would be like, you mean I don't have to worry about doing anything in December but
Recruiting?
Yes, please. Especially at the Power 5. Now it is a great thing for those seniors who, are trying to go out. But I mean, you still know when your last game is either way.
And if you're 5-7, 6-6, 7-5, you know.
Yeah.
As opposed to wondering whether or not you're going to get in a bowl.
Exactly.
So,
I just feel like it's a good way to.
You should get on that. You should start talking to some people who
I'll call
can actually affect that.
I'll call Indianapolis tomorrow.
Yeah, yeah. We know some people.
I mean, there are some people that we know who could make that happen. And
could certainly run it up the flagpole.
Sure. Yeah. And get the ball rolling. So I don't know. It's just a thought. I think we should think about it. That's what I'm saying. All right. The Irrelevant Bowl, though, we agree, not happening.
No, that's not good.
I mean, it could if you did this.
Well, under these conditions, these would be the only conditions under which it would have. So.
See, I just solved the Irrelevant Bowl's problem too.
Well, and Roy Engelbrecht, thanks. You. Because it wasn't working his way.
Not at all.
No.
Not at all. What are we going to do when we get opt-outs of the Irrelevant Bowl?
Well, that's going to be more like a no, dog. That's a no for me, dog. Yeah.
Anyway, let's take a break. When we come back, we have highlights from Rand Carthon's press conference yesterday. We'll react to those highlights right after this. Stick around. Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Murray County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Rand Carthen spoke with media members yesterday following, of course, the firing of Mike Vrabel. Whether or not you agree that Rand Carthen should or should not have had to do that is irrelevant at this point. Speaking of irrelevant, we should just call today's
word, huh?
Wednesday.
The word for today is irrelevant.
It is. But I do think that it's important to kind of hear what he did have to say, since he did speak with media.
And was the only one to do so.
And was the only one to do so. So let's take a look at the highlights of yesterday's press conference, and then we'll react following.
You know, obviously with the news this morning, Miss Amy informed Coach Vrabes that he would no longer be the head coach here. First and foremost, I want to thank Vrabes for what he's done here the last 6 years, particularly the time that we've spent together. You know, I want to thank Jen and Carter and Tyler for their sacrifices, for allowing him to put in the time that he put in here while here as our head coach. I also want to say, you know, I know there's been a lot of speculation over the last, 2-3 months or whatever it's been about the nature of Mike and I's relationship. I will say that Mike and I, we've never had any issue versus whether it's personal or professional. We worked well together and had a good relationship. We were in lockstep. So I want to finally come out and, dispel that. And, I wish Vrabes, nothing but the best. Consider him a friend. And I feel like we'll be that way moving forward. And so with that said, I'll open up for questions.
Rand, you said when at the draft or when you were introduced that your number one thing was to serve Mike. Given today's developments, did you fail at that?
I don't think we failed. I just think, one of the things Mike's always says is that the ball isn't round, so you don't know how it's going to bounce. And I don't think the ball bounced our way. We had 7 one-score losses this year, so we were in games. Just the ball didn't bounce our way. I wouldn't consider it a failure, but by no means, were we happy with the results. And that's just something we've talked about, privately and as a group over the last couple months of, how do we get this thing right and how do we get this thing, in the right direction. So I wouldn't call it a failure, but it's definitely not up to the standard.
You mentioned Rand, did you and Mike share the same vision?
Yeah, like I said,
when you talked about where things were going.
Philosophically, like I said back in I think it was my press conference, our football foundations are generally the same, in where he cut his teeth and how I was raised to see the game of football. Realistically, it's only so many ways that you could play the game of football, only so many different schemes. Like I said, our visions were aligned. We saw it a lot the same, and we worked well together.
So where's the disconnect, I guess, Rand? I'm sorry, Buck, sorry. I guess what I meant there was in terms of where the franchise was, rebuild versus, still trying to win another year.
Yeah, well, I think that part, it's a lot of moving parts, to the game of football. And there's no secret, we've dealt with a lot of injuries here, over the last, 3 seasons or whatever it is. And, we're having to mix and match pieces, on a week-to-week basis. And it makes it hard. It makes it hard for any organization, to do that. So, we have a lot of work ahead of us of trying to, figure this whole thing out and how we can keep, our key guys out there on the field and keep them available. But it was just one of those things. It wasn't we weren't aligned or it didn't work. It's really hard when you take the field. I think we took the field Sunday with 9 starters out, and, we were able to come away with a victory. But if you look over the last couple of weeks, look how many starters, that we've had out due to injuries. And it's just hard. It's hard to win football games in the National Football League as is with a healthy roster. It's just, it becomes even harder, when you don't have, all your key guys.
Along those lines, Rand,
Mike Vrabel doesn't have a job today. What is the disconnect there?
Well, I think Amy spoke to her decision, of making, of the decision she made and why. And that was about, her long-term vision, of the organization, and that's really, I think, what it was.
Along the lines of all the, you talked about the season and being philosophically aligned and all, but in that regard, a couple of big moves were made in season. The switch from Tannehill to Levis at quarterback, the firing of Craig Aukerman. Were those unanimous decisions by the organization at the time?
Yes, every decision that we made was unanimous. Mike and I, we speak every morning, whether I come to his office or he comes to my office, and we talk about the task in hand for the day. When we got to the point of making the move from Ryan, at that time when we made the initial switch, Ryan was injured. And that was about, now we get to see what Levis can do. And Levis went out and he played well. I think had everybody, in this room and our fan base excited about what was to come. And so we decided to make the decision to, move forward and see what that's going to look like in the future in his development.
The video, Amy said that some consideration at least was given to a trade of Mike Vrabel. Can you elaborate on that? And was he ever directly asked if he would be part of a trade?
I don't know the nature of his conversations with Miss Amy about, him being traded. I do understand the question about a trade. It's just not as simple and cut and dry. And you look over the history of coaches being traded, it's just not a lot in recent times. And when you say recent times, I know Sean Payton was just traded for, but he was out. And New Orleans had a coach in place. But there's also league mandates and rules that you have to follow, before you can execute a trade. And, you have to, the partner, if you will, would have to go through an exhaustive process and meet the Rooney rules and all those qualifications. And before we could even start interviewing, we have to have an opening. And so it just prolongs our ability to get the next and best head coach in here.
What's the process going to be like in hiring a new coach, and who will be involved in that?
So we're going to, hit the ground running. Obviously this is, I'll give you a little, just to go back a little bit, I just finished meeting with our operations staff, our support staff. I met with each assistant coach individually. Didn't want to do one big fail swoop of, talking to those guys. I wanted to give those guys individualized attention. And so that way they can ask questions that they might want to ask about themselves specifically. So make sure I made the time to go around and talk with each one of those guys. But we're going to run an exhaustive process to find our next head coach. And it's going to involve, a lot of people. Obviously I'll be a part of that, Miss Amy will be a part of that, and others, but we want to, make sure that we're getting the right people in here. I think it's going to be well documented, and I know you guys will, do your due diligence and, let us know what you think of every candidate, that comes out. But we also have to make sure that we're getting the right people in here, and people that everyone in this building, wants to come in and work for.
It sounds like you were not present in the room when Amy talked to Coach Vrabel this morning of his firing. How much is that true, and how much say did you have in the final decision to part ways with Coach Vrabel?
No, I was not in the room when the news was delivered. And these things are ultimately, Miss Amy's decisions. I think organizationally structured, we both report to her. And, I know they've always had their one-on-one conversations, as I have, with her throughout the year and just throughout, my time being here. So no, I wasn't present. But that's just the way it is.
All right. Those are some of the highlights from yesterday's press conference. And,
and I got to say, one, I'm interrupting you.
I was actually going to say, what did you come away with?
The first thing, and we touched on it briefly during the replay there. Rand Carthon mentioned that the Titans lost 7 one-score games this year. I'm sorry. If 6-11 is the reason behind Mike Vrabel's dismissal, then shame on Amy Adams Strunk. Because I don't think you can judge Mike Vrabel on the on-field results of the 2023 Tennessee Titans.
I mean, it's obviously his point to win games. That's his job. it's also
it's somebody
unfair.
else's job to make sure that he's got players that he
Capable.
can win games with.
Well,
And that wasn't always the case. The fact that they were in 7 one-score games is more of an indication of Mike Vrabel's ability to coach than the fact that they were 6-11, in my opinion.
or you can go back to 2022, where the Titans lost 7 games in which they were winning in the fourth quarter. You go to 2023, they've lost, what do you say? 11? No, 7.
7 one-score
7
games.
one-score games. Seems to me you're capable of competing with NFL teams. You're just not capable of winning those games. And I'm just playing devil's advocate here, but that's the way that you could look at it.
You could look at it that way. You could also look at Andre Dillard.
And you could say, Mr. Vrabel, why are you not playing the All-American left tackle at left tackle?
And I could ask you whose decision that was. And maybe that should have been a question that was asked in the press conference.
I think that's a decision that
Rand, you drafted an All-American left tackle. He never played a snap at left tackle. Wow.
Was there a problem there? I think that's a fair question to Rand Carthen.
Well, we can't ask it of Mike Vrabel, can we?
Well, no. I mean, I guess we could. We have as much ability to ask Mike Vrabel as we do Rand Carthen. We. I mean, it just is what it is. But what I take away from this is there is a vision that apparently is shared between at least Andy Adams-Strunk and Rand Carthen.
Mm-hmm.
And the next head coach is going to need to meet that vision, whatever it may be. I think the vision is pretty clear. We're going to throw the football, and Will Levis is going to be throwing it. That's the vision. We're moving away from 25, 28 carry backs to guys who can get out in the flats, Christian McCaffrey styles. I mean, just watch what Tyjae Spears did, in the back half of the season. I think that's what we're looking at going forward. We're about to be the Tennessee 49ers, and that's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing.
If you can get there.
I think,
But I mean, again, that's going to change the emphasis on personnel.
Sure.
And historically, identifying, obtaining, and developing high-level receivers has not been in the Titans' repertoire. Now, maybe the change at GM addresses that. But if you're going to play like the 49ers, you got to have receivers, and you got to have a bunch of them.
Well,
Deebo Samuels ain't walking through that door.
Okay, but let's think about this. Perhaps, you've got DeAndre Hopkins. You've got Chris Moore.
Is he under contract for 24?
I think so. I think he's got a team option. And you've got Kyle Phillips. None of those three are DeAndre Hopkins or are Deebo Samuels. But you draft a guy who fits more of that role, who fits into that role along with those other three. And I think you've got the skill players necessary to be the 49ers.
And that's fine. I don't necessarily have an option with moving in that direction. I guess I just feel like it's not something that we've necessarily seen this franchise be able to execute in its past. And maybe that's because they've never tried.
They've never tried. This franchise has always been, we want big physical receivers who can catch the ball over the middle, and let's move, who can get us first downs on 3rd and 7 so we can run the ball on 1st and 2nd down again. That's just it. That's what the franchise has been since we've been here.
Got here.
Yeah, I mean, certainly in the Malarkey and Wisenhunt eras.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think it's Rand clearly believes that he can work with the skill players they have and maybe +1 into that era of play. I think Slowick is a unique candidate in that he's coached both offense and defense. His dad coached linebackers in the NFL. So, and I would assume that maybe his dad comes on staff potentially. You know, I don't know if that's a great Monty Kiffin, Lane Kiffin type situation, but
interesting. How much more Titans are?
Keep going.
We can catch this when we get Terry. I'll hold it till then.
But I feel like this is an interesting situation that the Titans find themselves in because, again, they have the 7th overall draft pick. They have $100 million in cap space. They have all of these options to improve this roster immediately. And as I went back and looked at this year's draft, you can't give Ren Carthen less than a B+. I mean, Colton Dowell was the only guy who didn't play consistently, but he did make the 53 and was on special teams for most of the year.
And he's got an ACL.
So you've got a guy who can get the guys, who knows who to look for, what to look for, especially in this Shanahan type offense that we think we're going to end up seeing. I think that's the vision. I don't know. I mean, obviously, I'm not in the ring, but I feel like that's the vision. And I think offensively, the skill guys are there. We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
Aaron Glenn is on the list.
Detroit defensive coordinator.
As well as current Las Vegas Raiders interim coach Antonio Pierce.
Right.
Someone put the Spider-Man meme, Vrabel and Pierce. It's like it's the same guy. What are we doing here?
You know, and that's kind of, I feel like it's an offensive coordinator. I don't feel like it's a defensive guy, but for the Spider-Man meme, I mean, if you're going to go defense or defensive minded or defensively oriented, then you had that guy. And I mean, Antonio Pierce is probably that guy. I'm a little surprised that he is on that list, and I'll be even more, well, I won't say I'll be surprised. I'd be disappointed if Antonio Pierce is available. Because I feel like the Raiders could take care of a lot of ills by just hiring him.
Yeah, but you know who they want. And it ain't Antonio Pierce.
Who do they want?
They want Jim Harbaugh.
Harbaugh is going to the Chargers.
It's not what there are enough people out there saying it's one or the other.
Either the Chargers or the Raiders?
And the better option for Harbaugh long term is the Raiders.
They don't have a quarterback.
I understand that.
What makes them the better option long term?
Because they don't have to cut salary. And the Chargers do. That's great. You can have a quarterback all day long. If you don't have anything else, it doesn't matter. And that's their big issue.
What do you have with the Raiders, though?
The Raiders have a pretty good defense, for one. But they also have a core of offensive guys who you feel like are decent. You just need a quarterback to get them over the hump. Well, I understand that, but I would rather have everything and need one guy than have one guy need everything. That's the way I'm looking at it.
They had everything and needed one guy coming into this season, and it got a guy fired.
Trying to see if I can look at where did they end up?
6-11, 7-10.
That's what I was trying to find. I couldn't. I don't know. But I mean, they've got that core of guys they like.
Raiders were 8-9.
Okay. Well, how many of those games did they win?
Under Pierce?
Under Pierce, that's the real question.
That is the question.
One, two,
my resume is on the field, as the man said.
There you go.
Hang on. They had a winning record under Pierce.
I think they were 5-4, but I'm not sure exactly when he took over.
They were. They were 5-4 after taking over on Halloween night. So.
According to a lot of folks, Aiden O'Connell is the second best rookie quarterback in the league.
Behind CJ Stroud? Man.
Per grades. He's the second highest graded quarterback in the league. Just a thought.
Do you think Aiden O'Connell will be the starting quarterback for the Las Vegas Raiders in week 1 of the 2024 season?
I think it depends on who their coach is, but I would say 70% yes. That's as silly as it sounds. I think, yeah. I think he will be.
It does sound silly.
But he was 5-4. So take that what you will. Let's take a quick break. We need to talk Preds and Grizzlies before we get back to Titans on the other side of the hour. So stick around on Main Street Sports Today.
Mid-Tennessee Bone & Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net. Custom Stone Handlers supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you. No matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Piggly Wiggly, located in Neely's Mill Shopping Center, is Columbia's locally owned and operated Cost Plus 10 grocery store dedicated to serving the community with low prices and smiling faces. Piggly Wiggly offers fresh, hand-cut meats daily as well as daily hot plate lunches from their deli counter. You're certain to see smiling faces and a helping hand when you're here at Piggly Wiggly. Come by and check out our fresh produce, high-quality meats, and more. Down home, down the street, we'll see you at the Pig.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Welcome back in Main Street Sports Day, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Let's talk a little bit about the Nashville Predators, who got beat 5-3 last night in the 11th time UC SAROS has given up 4 or more goals in a start this season. The Predators are 0-10-1 in those starts. I don't know that UC SAROS has given up 4 or more goals 11 times in a season.
Yeah.
Prior to this year. And that just seems crazy that this year, when the defense was supposed to be better, has not been. Meanwhile, Yasserov Askalov is a AHL All-Star.
You just wanted to show off.
I have no idea if that's how you say his name. I don't even know if I said it anywhere close to right.
Don't tell anybody. You'll be fine.
Yeah. Yaroslav Askarov.
Okay.
Yet the Predators remain right in the thick of things. 45 points. Any chance that UC SAROS is not the starting goalie for the Nashville Predators post All-Star break?
I don't think so. I think that everybody in a decision-making position with the Predators feels like this is just a bump in the road, and he will be fine. Because that has traditionally been the way they have dealt with that type thing. And I don't anticipate it changing, and I'm not sure it should.
I understand that. You know, I gotta feel like, you know, halfway through the season, Predators being where they are
under a first-year coach.
Yeah. You know, they're the number 1 or the number 7 seed right now. And
I mean, I don't necessarily know what the expectations were for this team in year 1 under Andrew Brunette. But I would think that, you know, they got off to that rough start. They have kind of ironed some things out since then. And I feel like right around 500, a little over 500, under the circumstances, is not necessarily a bad place to be. And you kind of see what your problems are.
Andrew Burnett said last night, I thought he was good at times of SAROS. We didn't give him a chance to really get his game going. We were sloppy. We were slow. We lost every puck battle all around him and all around our zone. Didn't give him a chance. Didn't give him a fair shake. I hesitate to say, you know, excuses. I don't think those are excuses. I think that's just what he saw as a coach. But I think it's, you know, benefit of the doubt is going to be given to UC SAROS as much as you can, because he has proven year after year that he is among the top goaltenders in the National Hockey League. And it would be really hard to not give him that benefit of the doubt, particularly in a year where, like you say, the Predators weren't expected to be all that great anyway. So why not just ride out your great goaltender, and you feel like you're going to win more games than you don't? And they have. They're 22-18-1.
This guy was 4th in the Vezina voting last season.
Yeah, I
For
think
top goalkeeper in the National Hockey
and they were
League.
terrible last year.
4th. Arguably the 4th best goalkeeper in the National Hockey League. I think you ride it out with him and you're going to be okay. And I just don't think that.
Well, he was a finalist 2 years ago. So, I mean, this guy just continues to be really good. You just got to figure out what's going on around him that's causing them to be not good.
Well, and it's not like he's not good every night out.
Yeah, it's just, but 11 times
in 40 games, 41 games. Well, he probably hasn't started all 41
or
of
so,
those.
35 or 36.
Okay.
But one time out of every 3, he's going to give you a stinker, and I feel like it's not all his fault because he's never done this before. And they were.
And I don't think that one time out of every 3 is going to continue.
How many times did I say over the last 2 years how bad this Predators defense was? Awful, putrid. And yet they get better, and it's almost like he gets a little more relaxed.
Maybe.
Maybe we need to be worse on defense.
He said no.
He's not on guard all the time.
He said no. No, we don't need to be worse on defense. I just need to get better.
He has some mental lapses. He's got to get over those mental lapses while we're out there playing in the other zone, which he's not used to. Yeah. Oh, we're handling the puck in their zone. What am I going to do? Oh, crap.
Oh, there's the puck.
So, maybe that's it. I don't know. But anyway, we hope to get more insight on UC SAROS a little bit either later this week, most likely early next week. So looking forward to more Preds. We'll take a break. Terry McCormick standing by. Stick around.
He shoots and he scores!
Since 1975, Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint Clinic has treated the orthopedic needs of Middle Tennessee residents. The trained physicians provide surgical options and minimally invasive options to treat all orthopedic needs. The walk-in clinic, OrthoQuick, helps you bypass the ER while treating sports injuries and acute needs Monday through Saturday. Visit MTBJ online at mtbj.net or on social media at Mid-Tennessee Bone Joint Clinic.
Time now to talk about the Titans. Oh, wait, we've been doing that all day. Terry McCormick joins us now for your daily Titans update. What's up, Terry?
Well, we're starting to hear a few coach names trickle out as far as candidates that they have requested permission to interview. And surprisingly enough, most of the names are defensive guys, which I thought that a lot of people believe that they would go the offensive route, and they still may go the offensive route. But quite honestly, the names that have been put out there so far are a little underwhelming from the standpoint of, hey, this guy is absolutely somebody that can lead the charge.
The Titans have requested the Titans have requested to interview Ravens defensive coordinator Mike McDonald for their head coaching job, according to Adam Schefter, which puts him in the lead as his name is Mike.
There you go. Yes, because they have a tendency to hire guys named Mike. But in addition to him, let's see, we have Raiders interim coach Antonio Pierce. We have Lions defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn. We have Bengals offensive coordinator Brian Callahan. We have Giants offensive coordinator Mike Kafka, Cowboys defensive coordinator Dan Quinn, and there may be one more that I'm leaving off, but I'm sure he's a defensive guy.
Do you really want the Giants offensive coordinator?
Well, what does the Giants offensive coordinator do? Because I assume Brian Daboll is the one calling the shots up there. So.
Yeah. I mean, I'm with you there because I don't think you want to pull a guy. It's a hard sell to pull a guy from one of the few teams in the league that was worse than the Titans were.
Mm-hmm.
And the Giants were certainly that. The one name on the list that intrigues me so far, and like I said, this is speaking from the fact that I'm not really enthralled about hiring a defensive guy. I like the offensive coordinator from the Bengals because, yes, you can say he's kind of ridden the coattails of Zach Taylor and, of course, Joe Burrow. But that Bengals offense was still pretty darn good when he had to go to Jake Browning once Joe Burrow was out for the year. So that's a guy that it piques my interest. The other guy that maybe deserves some consideration, and I'm not sure he's going to get away from the Raiders, is Antonio Pierce, because you did see a half season's worth of what he could do. And while he would have to satisfy any questions that you would have regarding what he would do on offense, you can see that he rallied the troops around him in the aftermath of all the Josh McDaniels mess.
You know, we talked a little bit about Pearson, earlier in the show, and it kind of feels, Terry, like Antonio Pierce is kind of Mike Vrabel 2.0.
Yeah, I think so. He's a guy who's regarded as a leader of men, so to speak. Certainly, is a guy that has played in the league, has a defensive mind, has worked his way up the ranks, and did a decent job with the Raiders. We'll see where that goes. But yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think he's kind of almost a carbon copy of Vrabel in terms of guys play hard for him.
Okay.
So I'll share this with you. Justin has asked, is Harbaugh out of the question? And my answer to that is no, not if they're willing to spend the money. Two things come along with Jim Harbaugh. You're going to have to pay to get him, and you're going to have to give him complete control. And maybe that's why Rand Carthon left the door open yesterday when he said about, not declaring division, and Amy Adams Strunk about not declaring who's going to have final say over the roster. Because if you go for a splashy hire like Jim Harbaugh, you know the answers to those questions.
Yeah, that's the problem. You're not, and again, I said this yesterday, you're not going to get an established head coach to come in and, be worried about what the second-year GM's got to say. You're going to have to get a guy who is a little bit, green and a little bit less sure of his personnel abilities in order to work with Rand. And I think that's where, guys, like even McDonald. What about Todd Monken? He's fixing to get his third ring in 3 years if all goes to plan. And I don't know.
The other guy that I like is the Lions offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson.
Everybody likes him, Terry. I think
and
that's
then, of course, the Texans offensive coordinator is Bobby Slowick, who has a history with Rand Carthon. So I would think that at some point, he's at least going to get an interview. And they might also give an interview to Mike LaFleur, who is Matt LaFleur's brother. Now, I know he got fired by the Jets at 2022 season, and that's certainly a bad mark on his resume. But come on, let's give the guy a break. He was working with Zach Wilson here. He's not exactly tearing it up. But he has now gone to the Rams as their offensive coordinator, and they've been resurgent this year. And he turned a guy like Puka Nacua into a star after he was a 5th-round pick. So that's in his favor. And then the other thing, and let's talk a little bit about, the whole how far-fetched the Harbaugh situation would be. The one thing that I will say here is, and tell me if you guys disagree, but what little I've dealt with Rand Carthon, he's not a big ego guy. He's a guy who does his job and is fine working behind the scenes, and as long as the results are good and the organization is running well. So he's one of the few general managers out there that could probably fit with a big ego and a big personality and a big control guy like Harbaugh.
Well, wasn't that okay? But isn't that what Mike Vrabel was?
Yes, but he doesn't have the skins on the wall that Harbaugh does.
Okay. Let me ask you this question, because Ian Rappaport made a comment on some show this morning that caught me by surprise, that Mike Vrabel was presented with several options and didn't take any of them. Any ideas what some of those options may have been? Do we think that those options were you can stay, but some coordinators got to go, et cetera, stuff like that, or what?
My guess would be it was in one of 2 or 3 areas. Coaching staff certainly was probably one. How much power and control he might have over say-so on the roster and things like that. And then the other would probably be just overall philosophy, especially as it relates to the offense on that side of the ball, wanting to open things up and get more weapons and be a more prolific offense to take advantage of the arm and, what you have in a young quarterback in Levis.
Okay. Certainly, it just kind of begs so many questions. And, Rand answered a lot of questions yesterday. He threw it back to Amy's comments as well at times. But, I mean, it really – yesterday's press conference, especially with the question that you asked, and he said, they were in lockstep throughout with decisions such as Levis and, Kevin Byard, et cetera. It almost felt like, okay, well, then what was the point?
True. And I'll say this, a lot of people, including myself, said, we didn't get a lot of answers from Rand Carthon yesterday in terms of what happened and where this organization is headed. Now, in fairness, I think Amy Adams Strunk kind of just threw Rand Carthon under the bus here, because Rand Carthon admitted he wasn't in the room when she fired Vrabel. And he said that he and Vrabel got along and that things were good between them. So why, in my opinion, she should have been out there fielding the questions as to why she fired Mike Vrabel and what direction she wants to take this franchise, rather than having Carthon take the fall when it was clear that he was not prepared to give out that information, and maybe didn't even, probably knew it, but not the entire ramifications of what went down, because he wasn't in the room.
So I'm going to ask you the question that I asked on social media this morning. Did you watch the interview with Mike Keith, I assume?
Yes.
Is there a question that he didn't ask that you would have?
there was pretty much any question that was thrown at Carthon in the press conference should have been asked.
Most of those questions, as evidenced by him throwing it back to Amy's stuff, most of those questions were asked and answered.
Some of them were, but I'm just saying that, as far as what their vision is for the team going forward, how the firing
she said she's not prepared. She said she's not prepared to share that. He'd said that as well, which is understandable considering, you have to interview guys and you can't
but you can give the standard rank and file answer. Our goal is to build a franchise that can win the Super Bowl and to be a yearly contender and be ready to go once we move into our new $2 billion stadium.
Okay, so let me ask you. Hold up. If you can formulate that vision, then why do they even need to say it?
Yeah.
Well, just for the looks of it, probably. So that they can say, so that they're on the record as saying what it is they want to do. I think we all kind of know.
That's not the vision. I don't think that's the vision that they're talking about. Of course, that's everyone.
I think the vision is how you're going to go about accomplishing that.
Right.
I think that's what you're looking for to be the vision.
And I'll give you this. The vision with John Harbaugh is certainly different than the vision with Bobby Slowick. Agreed?
Maybe.
In terms of, if you're bringing in Bobby Slowick, he's going to mesh with Rand Carthon, and together they're going to probably, Amy Adams Strunk is probably going to have the two of them. Maybe Carthon will have final say over the roster because he is the GM and he has been here for a year. Maybe he has final say over the roster, and Slowick answers to him, and they both answer to Amy. If you hire John Harbaugh or somebody who is a high-profile guy, Jim Harbaugh is got control over personnel, and Rand Carthon is answering to Jim Harbaugh because you're paying Jim Harbaugh $20 million a year to be your coach.
Sure. Again, though, the vision is, in my eyes, what they're talking about vision is the style of play and how we're going to build the team and what type of player we're going to build the team around. We're no longer building the team around Derrick Henry's and that sort of thing. We're building it around Will Levis. So how do you go about doing that? I feel like that's the vision that they are not ready to share, because prospective head coaches need to tell them that. They don't need to tell those the interviewees.
But then again, that's pretty much a given too, because you've already pretty much proclaimed Levis as your quarterback of the future. And so whoever you bring in, if you're changing systems and you're changing coaches on a guy who's been starting in the league for half a season, you better be bringing in somebody who can maximize him and get the most out of him. Because if you don't, he's going to fall flat on his face. You're going to win 6 games like you did again this year. And then 2 years from now, if things haven't improved, not only is the coach going to be gone, the GM's going to be gone, Levis is going to be gone, and we're going to be right here at square one again.
Okay. We all kind of know that, and they probably could have said that. But again, you want those prospective coaches to tell you that in the interview. You don't want to tell them what you want to hear ahead of time. So I understand not giving the vision away. I don't know. I thought Mike's questions were pertinent. I thought they were all of the questions that I would have asked. Maybe a follow-up on some things, but even in 6 minutes, I thought that he asked all the questions that had to be asked. Maybe I'm wrong. That's why I asked you, because I thought maybe
I get it. But Mo, I think you'll back me up here. As a journalist, you want the opportunity to get your own answers rather than the canned answers that's coming from the team. You see that yellow thing that's right there in front of you guys? The softball? Yeah. That's what most of those questions were. And I don't expect anything any different from the team, because they have to spin this as best they can as they go looking for a new head coach. But I would like to have had the opportunity for myself and other reporters to press a little bit more on what the issues are with the firing of Vrabel and surrounding this team and where it's going moving forward.
I can appreciate that. And I do see what you're saying as far as that goes. But I do feel like Amy Adams Strunk should have made herself available. She was the only other person in the room when Mike got the news. She should have been available. She wasn't. It is what it is. I mean, it's unfortunate that she was, and it's unfortunate that the Titans media core did not get to ask her. But
I'm going to disagree with you on the softballs. I just 100% absolutely disagree. I think Mike Keith asked the questions that were going to be asked. He got the answers that you would have gotten, because if you don't think that she was prepared to answer, why'd you fire Mike Vrabel? What's the vision of this team? Who's the hierarchy going forward? If you don't think that she already knew those answers, you're crazy.
True, but when you're in a setting, completely different.
I understand. It's more comfortable for her, but it's the answers you were going to get.
Maybe. I mean, sometimes things come out when, there's a back and forth and the asking of questions in front of 20 media members as opposed to a guy who works for you.
Okay. There certainly have been some slip-ups in press conferences before. Mm-hmm. There's no question there. I will give you that. Again, the comfortability factor does weigh in, I think, on how you answer questions, because you get nervous and you start freaking out or whatever. I don't know that she would or wouldn't have, but I do think the questions that he asked were the pertinent questions. I was just curious if you had any specific questions that you would have asked that she didn't.
I think I would have. I mean, she probably wouldn't answer it, but I would have asked what were the parameters that you set forth in front of Mike to keep his job, and what was it that he didn't want, that he couldn't live with?
If we had known, did we know that before Ian Rappaport said something today that he was given options?
I don't know that was out there at that point, but you can, I think people would have wanted to know how the conversation between the two of them went, because that it was just the two of them in that room.
Yeah.
Terry, here's a question that I would like to have heard asked of Rand, and the only person who would have liked to have heard it asked more is Chris. As we talk about the personnel on this 2023 roster, why did an All-American left tackle never play left tackle?
Whose decision?
That was asked, and he said that it was considered. He said it was considered, but they decided in the end that having, moved him to left guard and him, learning that position, they didn't want to complicate things by having him have to relearn the left tackle position at the pro level. That was kind of the explanation that was given. So yes, it was asked.
He played 4 years, 5 years, whatever, Northwestern. He's a pretty smart guy. I think he could have handled it.
True.
But I mean, it was asked and answered.
The Northwestern part is the key there. Yeah, he can figure it out.
I think he'd be okay.
He's got the mental capacity to make it work.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's good. I'm glad to know that was asked. I didn't hear it. I didn't hear the entire press conference. But.
Okay. Well, look, I feel like we're certainly going to continue on this road, and we've got questions upon questions that are going to be asked, and we're going to have to talk about especially over the next probably week or so. I know that they didn't give a timeline, but clearly they're already on the ball on this thing. I mean, we're going to see some movement in the next probably week or so. I would expect.
Yeah, I think you got to do it before the Super Bowl, unless you've got your eyes on somebody that's coaching in the Super Bowl. If you have your eyes on,
Mike
Ben
McDonald
Johnson or something, and the Lions are in the Super Bowl, then you're going to have to wait on it. By the way, I'll throw one more name out there that I think is of interest, especially around here. And I think that's somebody that they will consider. Maybe he doesn't get the job. And yes, he's a defensive guy, but he's at least the defensive guy, and that's Jim Schwartz.
I thought you were going to say Gerard Mayo.
Gerard Mayo is also, there's a list on TitanInsider.com of the list of possible head coaching candidates, which doesn't mention a lot of the ones they asked for permission of today, but some of the bigger names that are out there, and Gerard Mayo is certainly on my list.
All right, Terry, thank you. Tell us about Zen Sports.
The new sports betting app exclusively in Tennessee the last few months, and I'm excited to share with you some big news. Now, when you sign up for a Zen Sports account, you will receive up to a $1,000 no-danger first wager. That's right. When you place your first bet in Zen Sports with up to plus 500 odds, you can be reimbursed for the amount of your bet up to a $1,000 maximum within 24 hours if the bet loses. And there's more good news. Zen Sports is rolling out its brand new VIP rewards program. This new VIP rewards program will allow top-tier customers to earn more bonuses, comps, and perks. The VIP program is by invite only, so if you feel your Zen Sports play qualifies for VIP consideration, please check out the program details and apply at zensports.com/VIP. No other sportsbook will offer you a premier sports betting experience with 24/7 top-tier customer support and faster withdrawals than Zen Sports. So what are you waiting for? Get going and download their app at zensports.com today. Zen Sports, betting just got better. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-889-9789. Terms and conditions apply. Must be 21 and older and in Tennessee to bet.
Smiles. These are the healthy smiles of real Delta Dental members. Folks with access to the nation's largest network of dentists and low-deductible plans with 100% preventive care coverage, all backed by over 65 years of expertise. Go online or give us a call to learn about affordable individual plans that meet your needs. 1-855-844-0445.
This holiday season, the largest lantern festival in the country returns to Nashville Zoo. Witness more than 1,000 handcrafted Chinese lanterns featuring brand new designs, including towering mythical beasts, a life-sized Santa's workshop, and a 100-foot-long dragon. Welcome back to Zoolumination at Nashville Zoo. Bigger, brighter, and better than ever.
Back here on Main Street Sports today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint. Chris Yao, Mo Patton, coming to you live from the Lee Company studio here in Columbia. And no, Justin, Trent Dilfer and Butch Jones will not be a part of the next Titans staff, nor will Derek Dooley, certainly for special teams. But, he's trying to get folks. Well, I mean, hey, Tennessee fans are already mad because the Titans don't cater to them.
I mean, Dooley did spend time with the Cowboys.
There you go. He was an analyst with the Giants, him and Pruitt at the same time. They all got fired.
That would explain a lot.
Jason Garrett, when Garrett was the OC, they all got fired together. Oh,
suddenly it all makes sense.
It all makes sense now. But we are shifting finally, from football to hoops. As big game tonight at the Curb, but not bigger than Sunday's game for Belmont as they open the Valley season at home against Drake with a big win. And we're going to talk about that and every other game we can possibly get in with Joe Sullivan, proprietor of NashvilleHoops.blog. What's up, Joe?
Hey, fellas, how you doing? I'm surprised you have time with me with all this NFL news.
We are wedging you in. we are wedging you in because Wednesday is your day, and you've been gracious enough to drop back to Thursday the last couple of weeks while we kind of been on holiday schedule. But yeah, we don't have long though, so make it quick.
Whatever you guys need.
No, I want to go back to a guy that we've talked about a lot on this show with you. Malik Dia kind of had his coming out party on Sunday, didn't he?
Boy, it was he was spectacular at times, and it was the full Malik show. Greg Sage, the PR guy at Belmont, came up with a great stat. Last season against Drake in 2 games, Belmont only made 2 3-point shots, which is hard to believe. And Dia made 2 in the first minute of the game Sunday, and then it continued from there. And then we got a breakaway tomahawk. We got a couple of spinning Rama layups when they really couldn't cover him. They didn't have anyone athletic enough to cover him. And in the beginning, they made the mistake of laying off him, and he hit the threes. And that's where you get I think. Career high for him, 32, I think. Do I have that right, Mo? 32, 31. And just a great performance. I don't think you can expect him to play that well all the time. But if he did, that certainly would be change a lot of things for Belmont and in the Missouri Valley. And it's just incredible to me that they were able to win that game so easily without Jacoby Gillespie, who's out with what they're saying is, it's a wrist injury, but they won't say what the exact nature of it is. But he did have a cast on, sitting on the bench.
You mentioned, Joe, coming into this ball game that more than half of the NBA was represented at the game to see Drake's Tucker DeVries. How much did Malik steal DeVries' thunder, do you think? I mean, do you feel like those scouts kind of walked away with some notes on somebody else from that game?
So I was chatting them up before the game, and they are so on top of it. They are aware of everyone, they know about Dia, and they know his strengths and weaknesses. They really do, because there was a scout explaining it to me, and as he said it to me, he knows this guy, and they like Jacoby Gillespie, which surprised me. That a couple, I was talking to like 3 different scouts before the game together in a group conversation, and it surprised me that Jacoby Gillespie would be on their radar, but they like him. They like his smart play, and certainly Dia for talent alone and size. They like him. He's proven he hasn't proven, that's overstated, but he shows he has the capability of having an outside game, and of course and Kay Tyson they were interested in. They told me that too. Besides DeVries. So like when I met them, I joked, "Oh, you're here to see DeVries." They go, "That's not all. We're here to see others too."
Interesting. I'm glad to hear that, because
well, I mean, when you look at Dia, there's an NBA body there. I feel like if he can do like you said, if he can do on a consistent basis what he did on Sunday, then he's a guy that you have to certainly consider.
Yeah, well, and at his size, he moves very well, and he can handle the ball pretty well. And those are all assets that the NBA would look at. That would make even, I guess we're going to say he's 6'9". That sounds about right to me. But he's got to be at the NBA these days. That he's got to be an outside player, because that's the philosophy of so many teams anyway. And he's got a chance, without a doubt.
This win on Sunday, what does this mean for Belmont?
Well, it really puts them back in they're 3-1 now, by the way, because I know you said when you brought me on that it was their opener, but they actually played 2 in December. I don't mean to just wanted to set the record straight. So they're 3-1 now, and that puts them in position to maybe contend here if they can sort of get past the Gillespie injury and keep winning some games. I mean, the road's always going to be tough, so that's why they have to win tonight against Illinois State. It's a home game; they can't mess up. Illinois State's not horrible; they should win. But I looked it up. They're 6.5-point favorites, so that sounds about right. And they should win tonight. They're going to have to win games like this with or without Gillespie. I mean, one thing that with Gillespie missing is that they have Keyshawn Davidson ready to come back into the starting lineup. We wrote about that on the blog this week, and I know I shouldn't get too personally connected, but I just think he's a great kid, and I'm really happy for him that he's getting another chance.
And he's another local product as well. Played his high school ball over at Oakland and Murfreesboro, and so anytime those local high school products get to continue to shine on the local collegiate level, we like to see that. So
yes.
Hopefully he can continue to produce for Casey Alexander and the Bruins. And like you said, this game tonight, Illinois State comes in here at 8-7 overall. I don't know what they are in league play, but
2-2, I think.
But for Belmont to continue to try to make a run at the top of the valley, they need to, build on that big win over Drake with a win tonight.
Well, especially going into a road game this weekend in Terre Haute.
Well, that's it. Saturday afternoon, they're at Indiana State. And I'm going to try to talk to Casey after the game, especially if they win. It'll be a lot easier, of course, to look ahead to Indiana State on Saturday. And, we'll like to write about that before the game on Saturday. That's a huge game. Indiana State is unquestionably the best team in that league now. We can say that. They have they're a tremendous offensive team. The advanced offensive analytics. They're up there among the leaders in the nation in a lot of categories. So they have a lot of options. And our favorite player, oh my God! Now, see,
Robbie.
Ricky, you shouldn't have old people on the show because his name is slipping my mind now.
It's Robbie something. I know who you're talking about. Yeah,
he's got the goggles
looks
on.
Like Clark Kent plays like Superman. Yeah.
That's terrible. That that's slipping my mind.
Hang on,
my
we're going to get
the
it,
listeners. But
Joe, weather permitting, there are worse drives than Terre Haute from here.
What's the driving time?
It's about 4.5.
That's not bad. Sure.
No, Robbie Avila.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Goggles and all.
Yeah.
I mean, he's definitely my favorite player because my nickname in high school was Scuba Steve. I wore the rec specs like Horace Grant. So until my junior year, when I started wearing contacts, I was a rec specs guy.
That's a look. That's a look right there.
It was indeed. I had this big red spot at all times in between my eyeballs from the glasses pushing it. It's terrible.
Oh goodness! You should have loosened that strap up a little bit.
Didn't they fall down or something? You got to keep them tight.
Goodness gracious! Joe Sullivan of NashvilleHoops.blog joining us here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid Tennessee Bone and Joint. What's the update elsewhere?
So I was going over this before I came on the air, so I am prepared despite my gaffe there. Every team, the 5 teams that we cover on the blog, has been touched by injury. So Gillespie's the latest one for Belmont, and Marcus Fitzgerald hurt his thumb and is going to be out. He only played like 3 minutes at Southern Indiana, and then he didn't play against Morehead State. And Penny told me he's not playing Saturday against Lindenwood, so he's out. And of course, we had the big injury at Middle Tennessee with Cameron Weston that pretty much ruined their season, we could say. And of course, Vanderbilt's had their share of injuries. Terrell Lawrence didn't play early, and then Colin Smith is out for the season with an Achilles injury. So it seems no one has been spared in the injuries around here, and that's unfortunate. I think it could make a difference for at least some of the teams.
How does Lipscomb bounce back from the loss of their preseason all-conference player?
Yeah, so I skipped that one, didn't he? Jacob Agnonovitz announced that he is the school announced, I should say, that he's not going to play this year. And of course, they lost Darian Boyd, who has been their leading scorer for a few weeks too. So that completes the injury circle there. Thank you, Mo. And it's look, they've been playing without him. I think they can still do well without him. I think they have a chance. They have a chance for 3 days in Evansville in March. They're going to have as good a chance as anyone to win that tournament, in my opinion. That's the wrong tournament. That's the Ohio Valley. No, there'll be home court advantage in Atlantic
That's
Sun.
right. Yeah.
So they'll still have to go to Eastern Kentucky and win if Eastern Kentucky finishes first. So that's the importance of finishing as high as you can in the Atlantic Sun, because you get the home court throughout.
And all of these teams are pretty much in one bid conferences. So it's almost a situation where what happens in January and February, other than as it relates to home court, if you're in a home court tournament situation, that's the only thing that matters until you get to March, I guess.
Well, I would argue all the games are important. You want to do as well as you can, and I think everyone takes great pride in having winning records. But yes, in terms of making the NCAA tournament, it's that's week in March is what it's gonna be for this team. Although Missouri Valley certainly has a chance for two. Indiana State keeps playing well, and they would get upset. I think they would have a legitimate argument for an at-large bid.
I mean, Conference USA got 2 last year, and the at-large bid went to the Final Four. So there's that. It can happen. Is all we're saying. Not going to happen this year for Conference USA, though. Don't think they've got anybody over there that's really tearing it up. But
Western Kentucky's been surprisingly good, huh?
They have.
They're going to be.
They're
a good
team. Don't tell us that. We don't care.
Yeah, with a Jacksonville State grad and an MTSU grad, Joe.
We don't care.
We're not trying to hear about Western Kentucky a whole lot, to be honest.
They did have a nice win over Liberty, so that they really
which is a big win.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean that is a big win. It really is. So you got to give them credit for that. Vanderbilt, meanwhile, had a really, really impressive game against Alabama, who obviously is pretty good after what they did to South Carolina last night.
Yeah.
Then they go down to LSU, and tough loss, but a road loss. And I'm telling you, Joe, Vanderbilt's going to hurt somebody's feelings this year.
I can't buy in, Chris. I really can't.
They nearly did it in the first game.
So I got to tell you, at that Alabama game, at no time did I think Vanderbilt was going to win the game.
Probably.
At no time.
Despite them being.
Yes. Even when they had the ball with a chance to tie, I just said, who's the player who's going to make that play to bring the people over the top?
Especially with Magnon out, right?
Yes. Magnon was on the sidelines at that point, right.
So,
but even Magnon, it would have to be like he'd have to get fouled to make the free throws to make it happen. It is I think you make a case when you say they played to the competitors' level. I think that's proven true a lot. But I looked ahead at the schedule, and they're about to lose their next 5 games, in my opinion, because it is at Mississippi, Auburn at home, Mississippi State at home, Tennessee, and at Auburn. You think they can win any of those games? They cannot win any of those games.
They're going to win one of them.
Then they play Missouri. They play Missouri at Memorial.
I think it's probably Mississippi State at home is their best chance.
Shane Foster ain't walking through that door.
But I'm telling you, they're going to win one of them just because that's what Vanderbilt basketball is right now, is the team you don't want to lose to, and something's going to happen. They're going to lose one. They're going to win one of those games.
I'll tell you, Saturday, the score got to be 33-15, and I turned to 2 guys in a press box, and I say, okay, it's over. And it was. I said, it's just a question of whether it's going to be 40 or 20. Depending on how much Alabama wants to keep paying attention. And Alabama really didn't keep paying attention, so it ended up being 3.
3.
Yeah. But
it was Vanderbilt did not lead again at that point, right?
No, never.
Yeah.
Never.
And South Carolina got the brunt of that, of Nate Oates'
of them not paying attention. Yeah.
Yeah, they paid attention the entire time against South Carolina last.
It was kind of funny post-game press conferences. Jerry was not unhappy, or obviously he's not happy with a loss, but he wasn't unhappy. He's sort of like, he saw the good in what his team did, and Oates was burning. He was so mad at his group.
I bet he was. You do not want to be on the other side of that, man. But
here we go, Chris. Another 5. So you say they're going to win one of these games?
They're going to win one of the 5. I don't know which one is going to be. They're going to win one of the 5. I'm telling you, it's just who Vanderbilt is, and it's ridiculous. But they should not win one of those 5.
Right.
That they certainly should not win one, but they will, just because it is what it is.
Mo, were you buying into this?
You know, which of those games are at home?
Auburn, Mississippi State, and Tennessee are the 3 home games.
You know, they tend to play Tennessee well in Memorial Gym.
Do they not?
I mean, I'm not going to say that they're going to win it, but I will not be shocked if they do.
In any way.
In any way, shape, or form. Joe, I want to mention, you talked about Marcus Fitzgerald being out for Tennessee State. They've got Lindenwood coming into Gentry Center on Saturday, which I would think is a game they should win with or without Marcus. First of consecutive games at home, because they've got Tennessee Tech a week from tomorrow, which we'll talk again before that. But, you know, this is a team that's 8-9 overall. They've got some expectations in the Ohio Valley Conference, sitting at 1-3 right now in league play. Where do they go? What are the tweaks that need to take place over there?
I really can't have any faith in them. I'm still hung up on the Southern Indiana loss, and those next 2 games, their next 2 games, as you said, are Lindenwood and Tennessee Tech, and they must win them both if this is going to have any kind of relevancy in this year. If they were to lose 1 or 2, if you lose 2, look out below. That's all I can say. And then after that, they have to go on the road to Western Illinois, which, before the season started, Tennessee State would probably have been rated higher than them, but Western Illinois has done well. So we can't count that as a win out there. But I think you'd have to say they're disappointing, Tennessee State. They should be better. Their record should be better. They've had at least 2 losses that should not have happened. That would be, both were on the road, but Alabama A&M and Southern Indiana. So you flip those, Mo, and they're 10-7. Mm-hmm. Not as bad, right?
Right. And 2-2 in league play.
Yep.
If you flip those. So
yeah.
Okay.
So you can't let these, unless you're like at the top. Yeah, Morehead State could afford to lose a game, but they can't. Not ones that they should win.
Right. All right.
Joe, as always, we appreciate it. We look forward to this each and every week, talking about the hoops in Nashville. Always fun. And we hopefully we'll have more wins to talk about next Wednesday.
Well, maybe from Belmont. It's and so before I leave, can I say, so Vrabel's going to the Patriots? Is that what you guys decided?
Yeah.
Or?
Yeah.
The Patriots don't have an opening at this moment.
I love, it's, if I may, all the listeners don't remember, I used to work in Boston.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea that Bill Belichick on a press conference Monday issued a statement saying, I'm under contract for next season. It's the first time ever, and I was there from the beginning, that he ever referenced his contract. Ever. Suddenly it's important.
We have seen some social media reports that he may be potentially heading to Atlanta in a trade. So I don't know.
Again, Joe, you worked in Boston. Heck, you probably know more about this than we do. I mean,
we'll see.
What are you hearing off the record?
So I've heard this even before Vrabel got fired, and before nothing's happened with Belichick yet, as you stated. But the Boston Globe senior NFL writer Ben Volen has told me the Patriots want Vrabel. It was their home run hire. That's who they want to get, and now he's there for the taking.
Oh, yeah.
Better get him while they can, because somebody else is gonna.
Yeah.
Unless he just wants to do nothing and get paid from the Titans, which he could do.
Yeah. It's going to be an interesting few weeks.
For me, too conservative in this modern age.
Right.
Hmm.
I don't think he's kept up with the times.
Okay.
I think he is a fantastic motivator of men, and I think he gets the most out of his players. But his downfall has been his choice of coordinators. to this point. And, for better or worse.
Maybe the second time around. We've seen guys
evolve
in their second job do better than in their first one.
A lot of examples of that. So the other thing about Vrabel,
Belichick included, yes.
Belichick especially.
Yeah.
But Josh McDaniels has been seen in Foxborough at Gillette Stadium, and so if he could come back as the offensive coordinator under Vrabel, that certainly would change things. And so was an Associated Press reporter. This is reported in the Boston Globe. Witnessed him entering the building. I guess he had a key card to get in.
quite likely, yeah. All right. Joe Sullivan, NashvilleHoops.blog, following. What is it? At Globe Sullivan on
That's it.
Twitter.
Yep.
So check him out. He is a wealth of information on the local Division I basketball scene. Joe, we appreciate it.
Thanks. Always a great time, guys.
All right.
All right, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, the weirdest and wildest news from across the world and Alabama. Main Street Sports Day returns in a moment.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint treats your orthopedic injuries and existing conditions. Our trained physicians will get you back in the game faster. Contact us at 931-381-2663 or www.mtbj.net.
With Lee Company technology, the best handymen are hands-off. Lee Company techs have been using visual findings and other smart technology tools for years to add transparency and virtually take customers along. You see what we see, whether we're in a crawl space or on a roof. With Lee Company, technology helps us help you, no matter what's happening in the world or at your house.
Jones & Lang Sporting Goods here in Columbia has been outfitting teams, officials, and anybody else from T-ball to college for 50 plus years. Be sure and check them out at 931-388-8060 or online at jonesandlang.com. Jones & Lang Sporting Goods, the look of a winner.
Zion Christian Academy, zioneagles.org or 931-388-5731. You can schedule your appointment. Go tour their campus. It is beautiful over there, and you're definitely going to want to see it. Again, it's zioneagles.org. Give them a call, 931-388-5731, and schedule your tour today. Custom Stone Handler supplies over 600 distributors and suppliers with quality stone products. Along with River Stone, we produce and distribute over 100 building, landscape, and other bulk products. Our goal is to provide quality products, service, and partnerships to ensure our customers' success. We firmly believe that the measure of any person or company is how they treat other people and customers. Give them a call at 931-490-4990 or visit CustomStonehandlers.com.
A game without a crowd is just a scrimmage. A performance without an audience is just a rehearsal. Without your presence, high school sports and the performing arts aren't possible. Ensure that these essential extracurricular activities continue to enrich the lives of students in Tennessee. Purchase a ticket to your local high school's game or performance.
This message presented by the TSSAA.
Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint has been the official sports medicine provider for Maury County Schools for more than 40 years. We specialize in orthopedic service, and our Ortho Quick Walk-In Clinic lets you bypass the ER. Visit us online at www.mtbj.net.
Yeah, we're back, and it is the weirdest and wildest news from across the world here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid-Tennessee Bone and Joint, live from the Lee Company studio. And we have not one, but two stories from the Birmingham metro area.
Does one of them involve a fish tank?
It does.
Okay. Oh, Lord.
42-year-old George Aaron Owens of Sterrett, Alabama, is facing multiple charges and could face more after his now viral cannonball swim into the fish tank at Bass Pro Shops in Leeds, which, by the way, is across the street from Buc-ee's.
Roy Wood
Okay. Roy Wood Jr.
Of the what is it? What's the show?
Oh, I don't know
that
what
he
show
was
it's on.
The show that Stephen Colbert was on, the show that Noah was on.
But I don't know.
Yeah,
which one it is.
On the Comedy Channel. Anyway, he said, "This ain't Birmingham. This is Leeds. Leave that. Let Charles Barkley now take that L."
Well, does it make it makes sense though, right? Come on, this is the home of Charles Barkley.
Yeah.
And it's a Bass Pro Shop.
Mm-hmm. So.
And there's a Buc-ee's across the street. You're bound to get some craziness to go on.
And sure enough,
George jumped into the fish tank naked. NEKKID, naked.
Mm-hmm.
Because nobody wants to fight the naked man. It's obvious from the behavior of Owens' admissions that he had been taking drugs and that we must continue to remind the public of the dangers associated with drug use. Leeds Police Chief Paul Irwin said. We are thankful that he was not severely injured, and hopefully he will at some point take responsibility for his behavior. He did not accept any responsibility for his actions, but he states he remembers what occurred. It was the drugs.
It was the drugs.
Wasn't me. It was the drugs. Irwin said last week that Owens was receiving mental health treatment after he was taken into custody. Irwin declined to comment on whether mental illness was a factor in the incident. I wish we could show it, but we can't.
No.
Because he was naked. So, but Leeds Bass Pro Shop, hold my beer. Literally, said Connor Paget, a party goer on New Year's Eve in Mountain Brook.
Which is also not in Alabama. I'm in Birmingham, but it's like a suburb, right? That's close to where Sanford is, right?
It's the Brentwood. It's the Brentwood of Birmingham. This is where,
Brentwood doesn't appreciate that.
Well, I'm saying that this is the upper echelon, richest people in Alabama live here neighborhood.
But is that close to? Is Sanford close to there?
Homewood is where Sanford is. So yes, but no.
Right.
They're neighboring cities,
Okay.
Vestavia, in that area.
All right.
Call the fire department to break this MF, Connor Paget screamed as he was inside of an urn.
I didn't realize urns came that big.
I didn't know either. I thought there was a reason for the urn, and it was to compact things, not to be big enough to hold an entire body. That was not, in a certain state. Twitter user Christy Yamaguchi Main, which, by the way, is the best part of this video. I would just like to say, has amassed 13 million views and counting.
Oh.
There's a cracking sound. The crowd cheers. He is free. The urn has been shattered and our hero emerges unscathed. Our long national nightmare is over, said Casual Thursday on Twitter. People are now discussing the cost of the shattered urn. I'm hearing prices ranging from $500 to as high as $3,000. Urn guy's up and moving around, but now without pants. Everyone seems fine with this. He wants a cigarette. He wanted a double makers on the rocks, so I gave it to him. Now he's drinking alone and having a cigarette, still pantsless in the corner of the yard.
So what, was he at a party?
He was at a party.
And he just decided to get in the urn?
Yep. And
I bet he won't be invited to the next one.
He's out of the Connor is out
of the shrine.
Of the shrine. He has turned in his ring and his belt.
Good Lord.
Oh man. Birmingham delivering on this wild and wacky Wednesday, I would just like to say.
Well,
as it so rarely does.
Roy Wood Jr. would tell you this ain't Birmingham.
This ain't Birmingham. No, these were folks from the suburbs of Birmingham, the Outer Banks, if you will, of the area. Please do not put this on the ham. This ain't on us.
We got our own problems.
But this ain't one of them.
Yeah.
Or two of them, as a matter of fact.
We got
So
99, but these ain't.
we got 98 problems, but these ain't our two.
Yeah.
Y'all tell somebody else. But yeah, so there you go. That's Wild and Wacky Wednesday here on Main Street Sports Today, presented by Mid Tennessee Ball Joint.
No. Oh,
Back tomorrow?
yeah, we're back tomorrow.
We're back tomorrow. With,
Wild and Wacky Wednesday presented by.
Nobody. You, if you want, give us a call.
Come on,
We'll see you then next time at 2:00.